Yeah, going live, and I'm live. Yes. Hello, good morning. Oh, let me get my hair, such as it is, all adjusted. Oh boy. Well, it's a really actually nice, lovely day outside. I'm checking the weather right now. Nice, lovely day. It's 47. It's going to get up to 56 today. Yesterday we were actually up to 70. I think that's going to be like one of the last ones. Looking at the weather for the week, the highest we're going to have is Tuesday night. It's going to be 67. And I'm looking at by this time next week, the highs are going to be mid to high 40s. So we're definitely heading out of fall and toward winter. Fall, comes rather later every year, and doesn't last that long. That's the one thing about it. Spring's the same way. It seems like basically, if you live in this part of the country, you get about 2 weeks of one or the other. So, and then it's usually winter and summer. Thank you, climate change. It makes me think back to the days when we used to have, like 2 months of really nice fall weather, and you can go out and watch the leaves change and everything. Now it's like, well, it just went from 90 to 55. So you better get out and look at shit now while you can. And even a month ago, we were talking about that. Month ago, yeah. So, writing. I've been doing editing. Not a lot of writing. Been doing a lot of editing. Been doing a lot of updating timelines and stuff like that, and getting some events concrete. But mostly, what I've done is I've spent a ton of time writing, editing, and mostly on the first novel. NaNoWriMo has started, so all of my writer friends who usually do NaNoWriMo are doing NaNoWriMo right now. I'm still not doing it. I just, I actually considered it and then thought, you know what, now's not the time to get back into that grind. Depending on how I feel next year, I will promise that if I am in the mood to actually sit down and do NaNoWriMo, I will do NaNoWriMo next year. It has been a while. Last one I did was 2014. Yeah. Last one I did was 2014. So it's been 4 years. And I was after doing it for 2011, 12, 13, and 14. So I did it 4 years in a row. And then I've taken off for 4 years. But I wished all my friends who I know are doing it, I said, hey, get out there, work hard, write those novels. I know you can do it. You give these people encouragement. Anyone who thinks they can write a novel, 50,000 or more words in 30 days, should really give it a try. You should. It really is kind of an amazing experience. I will say that. It can drive you crazy, but it's also an amazing experience. And it does show you how much work actually goes into doing it well. There's the key, doing it well. When I used to hang out in nano groups on Facebook, the amount of people in there who would just sit there and run at their fucking mouths about, oh, I never plot out anything. You're a useless, you're a horrible writer if you plot out. Your stuff is going to be hackneyed and crap and stuff like that. And then 3 days later, they were like, I'm stuck. Or the one I always loved is the guys who were like, oh, I never plot anything out. I just pants the whole thing. Pantsing is when you're basically writing by the seat of your pants. I pants the whole thing. And then 2 days later, they're like, I need a name for a town. in the Midwest. Who's got any ideas? Because I'm not coming up with anything. Okay, genius. Well, I would give you the name of a town, but I'm sure it would be Hackney. I actually did tell that to somebody one time. Yeah, because I had told them that I spend October. When I used to do NaNoWriMo, I would spend October getting ready. I mean, I would be plotting out everything and laying out my Schrödinger layout and everything like that. And that was, I got shit for that. And there was one guy who was like, after 3 days, he was like, I need the name of a town in the Midwest. I can't come up with anything. I said, well, I can give you the name of a town, but I'm sure it'd be a hackneyed name. One of the last times I was in a nano group, I actually pretty much started a firestorm by publishing a blog post in there where I said that there were basically far too many people who sat around scratching ass and just wasting people's time. And oh boy, did that piss a lot of people off. And the one person who it was directed to, who is this enormous pedantic asshole from Salem, Massachusetts. Yes, he was. He was from Salem, Massachusetts. He would always, he wasn't writing anything. He had been working, according to him. I don't give a shit if he sees this or not. He ain't gonna see it. But he said he'd been working on this novel for like 10 years that was a combination of superheroes and WWE. And he kept changing things as time went on because of changes within the WWE. It's like, what? Are you high? It's not a novel. It reminds me of the line from the movie Fame, where the music instructor had this like really gifted student who was heavily into electronic music, and he had a bunch of synthesizers and stuff. And so he's like, let me see what you can do. And the guy just starts making all these noises. He's trying to build up this almost like a symphonic wall of sound with the synthesizers, but he's not really doing anything. It's just like, it's all coming up and it's getting louder and louder and louder. And finally, the professor tells him to stop. He goes, what the hell are you doing? He said, I want to hear some music. He says, I want to hear what you can play. That is not playing. That is masturbation. You're just playing with yourself. That's what this guy did in NaNoWriMo. It was just masturbation. He wasn't writing a novel. He was just masturbating, And it was funny as hell because he was demanding that I be kicked out of the group on Facebook and that I issue a public apology to him and everything else. And I was just laughing my ass off. The mob turned on me in such a way. It was like, I was the Frankenstein's monster, and the villagers were coming at me with pitchforks and torches. It was funny. I just laughed my ass off. And the moderator finally told him, "Is like, look, you didn't get called out by name. You didn't get called out by name. They didn't post this publicly. It's on their blog. They're allowed to do that. So, none of that shit you're asking for is going to happen." This pedantic asshole actually, he hated, I'm going to say it right now, he hated women. Because if you were a woman and you had any sort of opinion, he would just like jump on your ass and stomp you as hard as he could. He got on my friend Josie one time because she said, well, I was watching this on BBC. And he's like, it's BBCA. Make sure you say it's BBCA. Make sure you say it's BBCA. And I finally wrote back to him and said, my channel guide says BBC. Okay, so fuck off. That's why I talked to my friend Josie because she was doing some stuff and she's like, I got out of all those groups because they really were. It was just insane. It really was. It was like all sorts of crazy ass insanity. 90% of the people who were in there weren't really writing. They weren't. I swear, It's one thing to say you're participating in NaNoWriMo. It's another thing to actually do something. And there's a lot of people who say I participated, and you can see it in the groups. There were quite a few people after like a week were just like, I'm done. I can't handle this. It's just not working for me. And then there was the one guy who, I remember this, he was like, yeah, I just wrote 100,000 words in 2 days. Okay, Philip K. Dick. One, you had to have been higher than a fucking kite for the last 2 days without sleep. 100,000 words in 2 days' time. I'm getting out the calculator here. Because if you think about it, say you're awake 18 hours a day. So that's 36 hours. That's 2777.7 words an hour for 36 hours straight. That's like insane. It is. It's like Philip K. Dick speed. And he did that high on speed, And then he turned around and said, yeah, I think I'll write another one. And me and another person were sort of like, I would love to see what he wrote, because it's got to be some insane gibberish if there ever was any. Oh my God, 100,000 words in 2 days. Give me a fucking break. The most I ever did in NaNoWriMo was when I was writing Her Demonic Majesty, and I think I did 4,500 words in a day. And I mean, I'm talking about a day. It took me like most of the day to get there, because I was working on that up until like about 10 o'clock at night. I remember there was one time when I was up and I was really like having a hard time, and I finally got to like 1,700 words at like 3 minutes before midnight. So I could put it down and say, yeah, here's my words for the day. Oh, I was sweating that. Yeah, but 2,778 words an hour for 36 hours. I mean, give me a break. No. It had to be. And it's like, oh, I'm never going to publish this. I'm just writing it. I always love the guys who do that too. Well, I just wrote this. I'm never going to publish it. Why? Well, that I'm being too pretentious. No, you're being pretentious now by going on about how you wrote a 100,000 word novel and you don't want to publish it, because to do so would be pretentious. It's probably more like, I don't want to publish this 100,000 word novel because it looks like Greek word salad. Yeah. But for my friends who are doing nano, you're not one of these people. I know you are. I've several of my friends are doing nano right now. Probably they're probably up in front of their typewriters, busting their asses to get words out. So you keep rocking. You keep going. I wish I was with you. I just ain't. I haven't got it in me this year again. Maybe next year. I'll shoot for next year. I'll put a tentative promise that I'll shoot for next year. I mean, I've done Mermaid. I do Mermaid and I get out like 2,700 words when I'm doing Mermaid. 24 to 2,700 words. That's good. It's like Camp Nano. I actually wrote a 53,000 word novel one time during Camp Nano. That was insane. That was when I wrote The Scouring. Yeah. And Camp Nano, which is usually held, I believe, in June or July. I think it's July. That's a good exercise if you really want to write something, but you don't want to write like 50,000 words. You can set a goal and say, I'm going to write 20,000 words in a month. That's a good exercise to really get you started if you're interested in ever doing NaNoWriMo. one of the things you could do, and this actually works out, is you could write in July, you could write 31 blog posts of 500 words each. Yeah. And that would count, and then put it all together. Yeah. Put it all together as a document. That's essentially what all Mermaid is, you know. Mermaid is like that. It's just, you're just doing a post every day. 500 to 1,000 words a day. Oh, there you go. So what else? Well, I did pay my rent today, and so far, the bank hasn't kicked it back and said you don't have sufficient funds. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed, but yeah, looks like that may have went through. So I'll be living here for another month. It kind of looks that way. I think what happened was my ex actually deposited like a couple of $1,000s for me because I was whining one day. I really was. She was getting on my ass about something, and turns out the stuff that I did for her, it was fucked up because her lawyer fucked it up. What a surprise. And I just whined to her saying, you know, I told you what I needed when we were doing the settlement, and you guys wouldn't give it to me. And I said, now I'm liable to be homeless. So I think she deposited a few shekels in my bank account to get me through. But I went to a job fair on Wednesday. Already had one interview. It was kind of worthless. They mostly hire people who are like secretaries and stuff like that. And I'm sort of like, I can be an office manager. I can do office manager work, you know. Let me do that. I had somebody call me yesterday while I was out, and they said they want to talk to me. So I'm going to try to contact them again today. See if I can get in touch with them, because they say they have something for me. I applied as a caregiver at a local establishment like 10 minutes from where I live. And they said, you know, it doesn't pay a lot. They're probably looking at about $15 an hour, but I could work the morning, you know, work during the day. I could work from like 7 in the morning till 3:30 in the afternoon. $15 an hour, I'll take it, you know, especially if I don't have to drive that far. There's someone else I said I was supposed to call. I didn't get in touch with. I'm going to call her first thing Monday. Yeah, I'm getting calls, but nothing's coming up yet. I think that's the biggest issue. And everybody's now trying to tell me that the job market is tight. I see the same goddamn jobs in my field posted over and over and over again. And somebody tried to tell me what they're looking for is like the perfect person. I go, they're not going to find the perfect person. You know, you're not going to. So these companies are like, once again, they're like blowing smoke up people's asses by saying we're looking for the perfect person. You're not going to find it. I already got turned down for one job because of my work habit, because I said I like to listen. I like to, when I really am getting deep into analyzing something, I'll close the door and put on music and do it without being interrupted. And I was told, well, we have an open environment here and you just wouldn't fit in. Open environments, I'm sorry. If you're working in an open environment, and some people love that, but I don't. Because I'm going to get loud sometimes. Or I'm going to tell people, shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear you talking on your phone while I'm trying to think. Yeah. Another one was I got turned down for a position because I didn't meet one requirement out of like a dozen. It's like, you guys, you're not really serious. I honestly told people at the job fair, one guy even said, with all your experience, why aren't you getting any work? I said, because I have all this experience and I'm 61 years old. I said, it's ageism. They don't want to hire me because, one, they think I'm going to want $100,000 a year to work for them. And I don't. I mean, I'll even put on there my starting base is like 60,000. If that's too high for them. But the other thing, fuck them. The other thing they're looking at is you're 61 years old. How long are you going to work for us? Well, at this point in my life, probably another 10 years, probably going to end up working until I'm about 70, can't help it. So you're going to get, more than 2 years out of me unless I win the lottery. If I win the lottery, I'm gone. I did not win the 300 million, the 1.6 billion. Oh, I might have won something. I haven't checked my lottery tickets. I really should kind of do that today. I should go and check my lottery tickets to see if I actually won anything. I would shit if I won. Oh, you're a winner. You won like $23 million. I'd be like, okay, job search is over. I'm retired. Because you figure out that 23,000, that 23 million, you're going to get to keep about 18 of it. And you'd pay about 9 million in taxes. So by the time it's all done, you get to keep about 9 million bucks. And I would probably shuffle off like $1.5 million to my daughter. So, yeah, I could get by about $6 million for the rest of my life, $1.5 million, maybe, shuffle $1 million off toward my ex. So that would leave me with like, $6.5 million bucks. I could get by on the interest. I could. My only two goals, if I had that kind of money, is one, I would pay off all my debts, which I'm getting calls on it constantly. I pay off all my debts, and then I want to buy a Tesla Model X, the SUV, and that would be it. I probably would like find some place to live other than an apartment. I'd probably find a condo, pay cash on it. By the time you do all that, you end up spending about another $600,000 or so. 500,000, yeah. So I have to get by on 6 million for the rest of my life. Yeah, I think I could do it, just on the interest alone. Getting out the calculator again. 6 million. I could probably get 5%. Yeah, that's 300,000 a year. And even if they take that half of that in taxes, it's 150,000 a year in interest. Yeah, I could get by on 150,000 in interest every year. Yeah, I could do it. It wouldn't be hard. That's really my goal. I'm not looking at like I'll win the whole 700 million or something for like Powerball. It's like, just, shoot 30 million my way. You shoot 30 million my way, I'm happy, because by the time I pay my taxes, pay off all my debts, buy the shit I want to get, I'm like, let's look at it, 8 or 9 million in the bank. And if I could get 5% interest easily on that, if I put it in a bank, I could live off the interest and still pay my taxes, because you only pay taxes on the interest. It'd be like, Jesus, I could do this. There's my money. There it is. And then just make contributions. I mean, it's like, here's a check for $50,000. Yeah. It's a write-off at the end of the year. So, so I'm still hanging in there. And it does look like I could get something. If worst comes to worst, I found out I had to take a test, and I can type 53 words a minute. Wow, like I didn't know that. 53 words a minute. Just found out a friend of mine. I'll get to this in a bit. I'm checking shit when I shouldn't be. I know. I shouldn't be checking this shit. Sorry about that. But not paying all my bills. Kind of in a precarious area there. I'm getting a lot of calls from creditors, some of whom will start calling me at 9 o'clock in the morning And I actually had people calling me last night at like 7 o'clock at night. And the thing I do now is when they call, I answer the phone, but I don't say anything because it's a smartphone. So I just like click it on. And yesterday I held it up next to my speaker. I just kept the phone next to my speaker and kept the music turned up real loud. So what they were hearing was basically music. And one of them called when I was playing Ministries Every Day is Halloween. So they're hearing bump, 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 bump. The whole time. You'll get your money eventually, but right now I got no money. You're not getting shit from me. So stop calling. That's the other thing I do. I had someone actually call me on my way to derby practice on Thursday night at like 8:20, and I had my headphones in, and since I'm Bluetoothing my phone, all of a sudden it goes, "You have a call," and the minute it clicked on, I go, "Stop fucking calling me," and I hung up. It's like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, there's one place called me like 3 times in an hour. I mean, like back to back almost. Every 15. I think the first call came, then 15 minutes later, second call came, then like 30 minutes later, the third call came. It's like, just get off my ass. You'll get your money eventually. Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I'm still here for another month. So hanging in. Yeah, I'm hanging in. Doing my best. So let's see. Writing, bills. I don't want to go on a long rant about bills and money. There's really no point to it. I was thinking about something I read the other day about traffic tickets, and I think it was Sweden, where like if you make a shitload of money, your speeding violation may be as high as like $100,000 or 100,000 euro. Your speeding violation is based upon your income. So if you're some dude making like 40,000 euro a year and you get caught speeding, you might end up paying like a 500 euro fine. If you're making like 20 million a year, you may end up paying like 100,000 euro fine. And I remember a place when I worked at Solaire, not a place I used to work. Well, it was, but when I worked at Solaire, there was a guy who objected to that because I talked about how they did that in Germany too. If you get caught, and he's like, that's not fair. It's like, it is. It's totally fair if you think about it, because if I'm making 20 million a year, what the hell is a 500 euro, $500 fine to me? I piss that much away on coffee every week, That's the thing. If every time I get caught speeding, it's like $500 out of my pocket, or I got to pay, like, I got a lawyer on retainer every year. So I got to pay them like an extra $2,000 to go work it out with the judge, so I don't have to lose my license or something like that. They might end up spending that $10,000 on lawyer fees and shit 4 or 5 times during the year to stay out of jail or keep from losing their license. Whereas some poor schmuck who's making 35,000 a year, it's pony up $500 or you're going to lose everything. You may even go to jail. I said, yeah, it's totally fair. Because if I'm making 20 million a year and I'm hauling ass down the road in a Mercedes, I get pulled over. Yeah, $100,000 you're gonna feel. Here's your ticket, dude. It's $100,000. You're gonna feel that. It's gonna make you not want to speed anymore. And this dude is like, no, it's just totally unfair. I'm sure he, like, if he's still alive, he's one of these guys who's like, he totally supports the current regime of idiots in the White House. I swear to God, a lot of these guys think at some point, if they didn't have to pay taxes and they just get rid of all these regulations, they'd all be millionaires. It's like, not everyone in this country can be a millionaire. Who the hell has that? The concentration of wealth, once it starts, it doesn't stop. Yeah, everybody just starts collecting. And you may get a piece of that pie. But now that doesn't mean I'm advocating like social anarchy. I don't believe anarchy as a form of government works in small doses. But I had someone trying to convince me one night that it would be good as a national form of government. I'm like, no, it's not. I go, you'd have situations here in Harrisburg where you would balkanize the fuck out of the city. I mean, seriously, you would. You'd balkanize the fuck out of the city because you'd have one group in one area wanting to do this and another group in another area wanting to do this. I said, it doesn't work in large concentrations. Yeah, maybe in small towns where you've got 50 or 60 people, but I can't see it working in like towns of like bigger than 5,000 people unless dudes with rifles and shit decide to enforce the rule of law. And guess what? That's not anarchy. That's kind of like edging into either fascism or communism. It just won't work. And they're like, oh no, it'll work. It's like, no, it won't. It won't work. Yes, I agree. Capitalism as we know is bad. And capitalism as we know, however, is dying. It really is. Because you have far too many people and not enough jobs. And right now, the people at the top are just basically hanging on like motherfuckers. They really are. I mean, all these grabs you see for like canceling out votes and everything, it's an attempt to try and control the vote so the people at the top aren't affected. Because eventually you're gonna get enough people vote. And it's just gonna be like, we're taking your money. We're going back to a progressive tax structure like Eisenhower had. Eisenhower, the more I look at him, my parents hated Eisenhower. He was probably the last good Republican president. And nowadays he'd be considered a Democrat. I mean, he really would. If you look at his platform, if you look at the GOP platform for the 1950s, he basically was a Democrat. Nowadays he'd be considered one. Hell, the idiots today consider Reagan like a Democrat. It's like, you guys are high. Really, you are. If you're going back to that point and you're going, well, even Ronnie, he's not conservative enough for us. You guys are high, man. No, Eisenhower was really strange. And this was a guy, you have to remember, Eisenhower was a guy who really never worked outside of the government sector. Seriously. He had probably a few jobs where he wasn't a general or a president, but he wasn't a lot. We're only talking a few years when he wasn't either in the military or president. So this was a guy whose existence was based completely upon being part of the government structure. Really, he was. But he created the interstate system. Why? Because he saw the Autobahn was in Germany. He was like, why don't we have this in the United States? Helped create the space program. Basically it was to beat the Russians. But at the same time, we had Wernher von Braun, one of the, quote, good Nazis. I always loved that. Our space program was developed by good Nazis. Yeah. Well, von Braun himself was almost executed. Let's put it that way. Him and a lot of his guys at Peenemünde, which is where their rocket base was at. Yes, they killed a lot of people with V1 and V2 rockets. Yes, they did. But they were almost all executed at one point by the SS, basically because they were working on plans to build moon rockets. They really were. Von Braun himself was almost executed because his concentration was not fully into developing the vengeance weapons that Führer wanted. So it was like when the time came to skedaddle, the war was ending, and it was like, well, we got one of three choices. We could wait for the SS to show up on our doorstep, in which case they're going to machine. Hello?
Hi, Missy.
I'm good.
I'm Dave Kelly. I'm
Uh-huh.
here at Kinnison for George Scott.
Oh,
Chris. Wonder if you're supportive of him.
Yes, I am, and I'm already registered. I should be registered to vote because I voted the last time.
Excellent. Where you're going.
It's right over there.
Okay, excellent. Maybe supportive of
I'm gonna-
Wolf.
I actually met Governor Wolf this summer. Over the summer, I had a special forum with him. I met him like 2 or 3 times.
Cool.
So
Excellent.
yes, don't worry, I'm voting straight. There's no
All
way
right.
I'm not.
Excellent.
All right.
Have a nice day.
Are you
Thank
the
you.
roller girl?
Yes, I am.
Cool.
All right.
I'm the only one here, so yes, I am. Sorry about that, but people canvassing for wanting to know if I was going to vote for the Democrats in this state. And I was like, yeah, no way I'm not. So anyway, getting back to the good Nazis that we had. Wernher von Braun, his choices, we have 3 choices. We can wait for the SS to show up on our doorstep and machine gun us all to death. Nah, that's not a good one. We can wait for the Russians to come and take us. Nah, that's not a good one either. Or we could go over to the Americans. Yeah. We like Americans, yeah. So it's 9-9, yeah. So, yeah. 9-9, yeah. We'll go to Americans. And that's what they did. And they said it was really funny because, like, in the 50s, they established their center down in Huntsville, Alabama. And they said there's still a big German influence in Huntsville, Alabama to this day because of that. And you'd see all these guys out in pubs, bars at night getting drunk and singing, songs in German. And yeah. At one point, I think the Army had to step in and say, hey, guys, you might want to chill this shit, because it's drawing attention. But yeah, Eisenhower developed all this stuff. He actually believed that paying taxes was a patriotic duty because it helped your country. It made your country work. That was how you supported programs that your country was putting out. So it was your patriotic duty to support and pay taxes. And guess what? The more money you make, the more money you should be putting into the kitty because you're actually, the way they look at it, you're actually using more of those government services to get your shit done. I think when Eisenhower was, if I remember correctly, their top tier in the progressive tax structure was 92%. Seriously, I mean, if you were making like $1 million a year, and there were very few people who were, but there were a few. But if you were making like, $1 million a year, the government was coming asking for $920,000 of that. Of course, there were tax loopholes and deductions and stuff, but still, Eisenhower was like, give back. Like I said, he would be considered like a liberal socialist Democrat today. He was in favor of Social Security. He was in favor of labor unions. He felt a strong labor union was going to make for a strong workforce, which would make for a strong country. He was in favor of government programs, doing things, because he felt if run properly, they could be more efficient. And a lot of the government programs under Eisenhower were extremely efficient. And if you couldn't do your shit, you got fired, you got canned. Miss Ike. My family hated him. But the more I look back on him today, it's like, really need a guy like that today. Seriously. Yeah. So, and as you may have heard, they asked if I was the roller girl. Yes, I am the roller girl. I have my Dutchland shirt on today. You know what that means? Today is bout day. It's my last bout of the season. Dutchland Rollers is playing Bucksmont. Be curious to see how it's going to go today because the last bout my old team played was against Bucksmont, and they lost that bout by 361 points. Yeah. So I'm really kind of curious. I asked one of the players last night, so how do you guys think you're going to do against Bucksmont? And she was like, we're not really sure. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. If we win, we win. If we don't, we don't. That's the way it goes. We won our last one against Keystone. Keystone played great game. They did. They kicked ass. And then tomorrow, York and Hart are playing, and I had actually promised someone that I would go to the bout, and I'm probably still going to go. And that's going to bring up some emotions. Yeah. I think what I'll do is I'll just go in, sit down, watch the bout. When it's over, pack my shit up and get out. That's it. I'm going to try not to talk to anybody, although I probably will. There'll probably be a couple of people who will see me and they'll be like, hey, Cassidy, what are you doing? I'll talk to them. But beyond that, do my best to remain anonymous. Remain anonymous while wearing a Dutchland t-shirt. Yeah. Remain anonymous while wearing a Dutchland t-shirt. Everybody will know. But we had an event last night. What they have down in Lancaster was what they call First Friday. It was sort of like what we have Third in the Berg here. It was First Friday. So there's like all these different specials and stuff. So we were out on the street trying to hand out flyers and put up posters. And it rained like a son of a bitch. It rained hard the entire time we were there. I was soaked when I got home. This stuff has all been drying since last night. My jacket was soaked. I was actually wearing like a winter beanie on my head, and it was soaked. My tights were soaked. Oh my God. I mean, it never let up. And I didn't have my umbrella, of course. I didn't think to take it. But it was still fun. I was out there for 2 hours. It was my first event. And from what I was told is like, we have to do one event as a tot. But I'm going to count that as mine. I already contacted Amanda Jean, who is our event coordinator. And she had me down for 6 to 7:30. I was actually didn't finish up until like right before 8. And then I went out with one player, talked with her for a while. We sat and actually had sushi. We were eating sushi bowls in a takeout place, a little place right across the street from where we were parked, and talked. She was asking me about, why did you come to Dutchland and stuff like that. She was telling me a little bit about her history with Dutchland. So it was fun. And today I will be behind the camera one last time we have 2 bouts. So again, double header. I'll be behind the camera for both. Started out, first event I filmed this year was Battle of the Freshies back 25th of February. And I did that because one of our players from Hard was in Battle of the Freshies. Next year, I plan on being in that motherfucker. I do. I'm shooting for it right now. So, 3.5 months, a little less than 4 months I have to get ready for Battle of the Freshies. Actually, about 3 months, because I think you have until the second week in February to register for it. So, Wednesday night was my 13th practice. Today is actually 1 month now that I've been with Dutchland. Yep. Thursday night was my 13th practice. I have not missed a practice. So I'm almost halfway to being a member of Dutchland. You have to have 32 practices in before you're considered an official member of Dutchland. And next Sunday will mark practice 16 for me, which will be the halfway point. So 5 weeks, which means another 5 weeks, and another 5 weeks after that, I will be an official member. So sometime around the middle of December, I'll be an official member of Dutchland. Yeah. And Wednesday night, we're going to do our Tier 1 assessments. It's my first test. We did a walkthrough test on Thursday night. Basically, our coach took us through everything that we're going to be tested on, and she wanted to see how we were doing. And she pretty much said, all of you would have passed. There was one thing that I did, choppy feet, which we did not do a lot of when I was at Hard. So I didn't have a lot of opportunities to practice it. And when I was done with it, I wasn't very good at it. I even told the coach, I said, I'm probably a 2. And she goes, yeah, you are. Yeah, she did. She says, you are a 2. She says, I wouldn't worry about it. You're not a 1, you are a 2. That means you got room to practice. And I said, I will. Just give me another 5 weeks. And I'll be there. So it's like, give me a few more weeks, I'll be there. I'll keep working on it. So the biggest problem I have with those is you have to turn your foot inward. And I haven't quite figured out how to get that yet. So I'm actually working on exercises where I'm learning how to turn my foot out. And you need those for plows too. And I'm getting better at my plows. But my biggest problem I still have with my plows is I like to press down with my toes instead of the heel of my foot. And the heel of your foot is really where you should be pressing, because that's where you should be putting your pressure. So yeah, Tier 1 assessments, I'm not sweating it. I know there's a couple of things I could probably get 4s on. So I'm not really worried about that. And if I get one thing that's a 2, cool. The other thing that I'm kind of sweating, the only other thing I'm kind of sweating, and I'll just tough it out, is balancing on one foot while standing still. I tend to have problems with that because my trucks are loose. So the minute my skates start going like this, I'm like, woo! I'm all over the place, especially on my right foot. My right leg, my balance is not as good as it is on my left leg. So. Plus, I got to find a spot on the Dutchland floor. The floor is just slightly uneven in some places. So it's like you'll start rolling backwards or forwards, depending on which way you're going. And that's kind of disconcerting when you're doing that. So, but everything else, as our coach said, I didn't see anything. You all would have passed. So Wednesday night, I'll probably pass my Tier 1 assessment. Then we'll move up to Tier 2. Tier 2 is going to be more pack work. We'll be on the track more because the vets actually are pretty much done as far as practice is concerned. So we'll actually be doing more work on the track in the weeks to come. So that means we'll be doing a lot more pace line work, a lot more pack work, a lot more weaving work, stuff that I've already done. So I don't imagine I'm going to have too many problems with my Tier 2 assessments either. Wednesday night was Halloween, and we actually were told to come in costume for Halloween. Now, I suck at costumes. I don't do good. So they said, if you can't come in costume, wear black and orange, because that's Dutchland colors. And so I wore black tank top and black booty shorts with an orange skirt over them, and I was wearing fishnet stockings. I have pictures. Of what we looked like. We have pictures of the tots, and I actually shot video of us skating around. I took my GoPro, and I shot video of us skating around while we played Thriller. Yeah. We played Thriller, and I love it, and a couple of other songs. So I will post those. When I put this into the blog post, I will actually put those pictures and stuff and the video in the blog post so you can see it. See what it looked like when we were out there doing this. Because it was a lot of fun. Yeah, just dancing around. And I'm sitting here checking shit again. Shouldn't be doing that. Just skating around and having fun. We did suicides for candy. Suicide sprint, if you don't know what that is you line up on the area where you get the long portion of the rink, and you skate as fast as you can down to the other end, come to a stop however you can, then skate back as fast as you can, come to a stop. And one of the things we had to do was we had to bring a bag or something to hold candy in. And I brought like this gigantic, it was almost like a shopping bag. It was stupid. It was almost like a shopping bag. And we had to sprint all the way to the far end of the rink where there was this little cauldron of candy. And you'd come to a stop, reach in, take a piece, put it in your bag, and then have to skate back. And it was a relay race. And we had 15 pieces of candy. We still came in behind. There was one team, the team that won actually got one more person out than us. So, you know, they were actually able to get one person out 3 times more than us. So they had 18 pieces of candy. They had 3 extra people go out. That's really what it was. So they were a little faster than us. We had actually 3 tots in our group, and we did pretty good. I would do just like the one knee slide up to the cauldron. I mean, I would just like speed up as fast as I could, then drop the one knee and slide to the cauldron. Getting back up and getting going again was a pain in the ass because I'm sitting here trying to like get my bag already. One of my teammates had the right idea. She brought one of those like little pumpkin things and she tied it. She had a belt on, a little belt, and she fastened it to her waist. So all she would do is skate up, drop it in, and then skate back. She didn't have to. Her hands were free, so she was good. It was really the smart thing to do because if you think about it, you were only going to get like 3-4 pieces of candy at the most, and that's what happened. She did. Loved it. It was fun. So I will post those pictures. And then Thursday night we did suicide. Oh, not suicide. We did pyramid sprints. We also did the dice game and stuff. I almost won one version of the dice game. I was next to the last person, and I happened to stand on the corner that got called out at the end. I was like, damn. But yeah, first time I wore makeup. I had makeup on, wore fishnets. Yeah, I was a regular derby. Yeah, I was a regular derby girl. That's actually what I went as. I went as a derby girl, old-fashioned derby girl. You know, with the orange skirt and everything. It was fun. We had a lot of fun. And when we did pyramid sprints on Thursday night, they were playing music. And the first song they played was "We Built This City." I was actually singing it as I was skating around the track. And what they did was they paired us up with vets. So there were no tots skating together. We were on the main track, which is how I've always done pyramid sprints in the past. And the first time we did a pyramid sprint, it was the vets and the tots. And so the tots were skating together. This time they actually said, I want the vets paired up with the tots. So it was even. I was paired up with Venom, who I've actually spoken with a couple of times already. So I'm kind of getting to know her. And she was like, we're going to kill this. You know, we're going to kill it. And fortunately, I'm pretty fast. So I wasn't at first. That was the thing. It was weird because when we started out, boy, I was having a hard time getting my crossover down for some reason. It just was not dialing in. And I stumbled a couple of times. And then when we were coming down, because we go 2 laps to 6 laps to 2 laps, you know, you build that pyramid like this. You start out on a few laps and then go to more, then you come back down to a few laps. So it looks like a big diamond actually. And I got it dialed in, and I was actually pacing our coach, the coach of the tots that night. I paced her for a couple of laps. I got behind her, and it was just like I stayed about 5 feet behind her the entire time. And even I said, yeah, I was pacing her. She goes, I know, I saw you. And she goes, you were keeping up with me. So once I got that dialed in, I was like going. And there was a couple of times I got to the point we did 5 minutes of skating. Can't remember when. I think it was Wednesday night because we were told you can go out and do your 27.5. And everybody went out there. So basically the way they do it is they just turn you loose and they say 5 minutes of skating, go. And I did 25 laps on the nose. I mean, really. But I got held up too. I mean, I got held up a couple of times really good. And I even told one of the players, I said, I'd have gotten 26 laps if this hadn't, if it hadn't happened, if I hadn't gotten hauled up. And she even told me the same thing. She says, yeah, I saw you skating. She goes, you would have definitely got 26 laps. You might have even gotten more. That's what I was thinking. It's like, I could have gotten more. So when we were doing pyramid sprints, first we warmed up and they said, skate 10 laps as fast as you can. That was our warm up. And then when we were doing the pyramid sprints, when I was out there, I was diving in on people and I finally just started like yelling. Some coming in, I'm like, I'm on your inside, and would go past them. And I had one of the players I was speaking with last night. She says, yeah, that's basically what you got to do. She says, just start yelling out, I'm on your inside, I'm on your inside, or I'm on your outside. She says, if you've got that speed going, do that. So, yeah. But yeah, we had a good time. My lap times are coming up. I'm really averaging now I'm averaging actually about 25 laps in 5 minutes. And that's with not having a clear track. That's the thing that's really important is when I'm doing that, I'm not having a clear track. I'm having to deal with traffic. So it's like, well, if I'm at the point where if it's not a clear track and I'm still averaging about 25 laps in 5 minutes, if I get a clear track, I probably can get more than 26 laps. I'm at that point now. I think I finally hit the point where my speed is coming together with my form. All I got to do is, tweak it just a little bit here and there. And once I get that 27.5 out of the way, if I can do 27 laps once, I can do it again. I don't know if I come up and I say, hey, I did 27 laps or I did 27 and a half laps tonight, if they would count that, if they would actually say, okay, you did a 27.5. You're done. You don't have to do it again. Probably not. There probably will be a point when they'll come up and they'll say it has to be officially timed by the coach, even though a coach is doing the timing. Yeah. But yeah. But it's going to be like that. If I can get 27 laps, and really my goal is right now, if there's traffic, if I'm out there skating with the other tots and I have to go through traffic, if I can get past 26 laps with traffic on the track, I'll get 27 laps if I'm the only one out there. Seriously, I will. I mean, it's like psychologically, you're going to do it because if you have to hold up or if you have to do like a little bit of weave and stuff like that to get through, if you can do more than 26 laps when you're dealing with traffic on the track because you're getting held up for a couple of seconds here, a couple of seconds there, that adds up. You get held up behind like a group of people that are taking up the entire turn and you have to go all the way around them. There's 3 seconds right there you've lost. Well, when you're doing a 27.5, it's 11 seconds a lap. So 3 seconds, I've already blown a third of my lap. You do that a couple of more times, you've lost the lap. And if you can still skate more than 26 laps in that time, and in the time you've been held up, you've basically lost the lap. There's your 27. So that's my goal. Really, my goal is I'm going to do what I can to get my speed up and hit 26 laps. I know I can do it now. I mean, if I'm hitting 25 regularly now, I can hit 26. And like I was told last night, they just said, just start screaming. When you're coming in on a group, just like, I'm on your inside, and just like blow through them. you know, but yeah, I'm getting there. It's a lot of fun. And I did like the fact that we got to skate with vets when we were doing the pyramid sprints, because that was one thing we didn't do a lot of when I was at my last team. And it's not a slam on them or anything like that, but I always was kind of like, the vets should be teaming up with freshies more often instead of like getting two of the fastest vets together and, you know, blowing through a pyramid sprint as fast as they can and then just like spending 5 minutes skating around, you know. Because when we did it Thursday night, everybody kind of ended at nearly the same time. You know, there wasn't a whole lot of, you know, we had to go and do squats for 5 minutes. And Venom and I were among one of the first to finish. Even though we screwed up our lap counts and we ended up skating an extra lap each. Because she came off one, I was like, did you just do 6? She goes, yeah. She says, we're doing 6. I said, I thought we were doing 5. She goes, no, we're doing 6. So I get out there and I'm skating and I do 6 laps. As I come back in, she goes, I screwed up. We were only supposed to do 5. We do 6 now. I was like, okay, go. And, you know, and she did. Is like after we were done, she was like, hey, you know what? She goes, extra laps never killed anyone. I was like, no. I've actually gotten to the point where I'm enjoying the cardio. I know I never used to like cardio, and now it's kind of like, yeah, I'm starting to enjoy it. But one of the things Venom was talking about is one of the pyramid sprints the vets do is like 1 to 10 to 1. 1 lap and then 10 laps, up to 10 laps, and then back down to 1. That's let me run that up. I'm gonna get the calculator out here again. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 plus 10 plus 7 plus 6 plus 5 plus 2 plus 1 equals, that's 100 laps. That is 100 freaking laps. Yeah. That's 100 laps. 1 to 10 to 1 is 100 laps of cardio. Yeah. Yeah, Venom was like, I can't wait. We haven't done that in a while. I'm like, oh my God, 100 laps of cardio. I've skated 80 laps of cardio before. I've skated 75 and I've skated 80 laps. I think the most laps we ever skated, most laps I ever skated, I know for a fact, was once we did 3 40 and 10s in a single night. We did 2 of them right back to back. So that was 80 laps right there. And then at the end of the night, we did another one. And I finished all of them. But the last one, I was like 2 laps down because I was just dying. And the person who was timing, I said, keep timing. I'm keeping going. And she kept track of the laps. And she afterwards, you know, she came up to me and she says, I'm really proud you finished that out. I said, there was no way in hell I wasn't finishing that. I said, I know I was 2 laps down, but I was going to finish it. And I did all 120 laps. Yeah. So yeah, 100 laps of cardio. Holy shit. I have noticed that what Dutchland likes to do for cardio is they do a shit ton of laps. They skated, I think it was 80 laps. Was it 75 laps the other night? Yeah, we skated like 35. They skated like 75. And then they do something that's called like the endless push drill. And it goes on for about 15 minutes. And they even told us one night that once you get up to vet level, it's not unusual for your cardio to run like 20 minutes. It just depends on who's running it that night because it'll take you that long to get through it all. So their cardio is just, it's just like you keep going, and you go and you go and you go. So that's something I got to look forward to is really getting out there and busting my ass. I told him, I said, I've done 40 and 10s before. And Venom was like, what the hell's a 40 and 10? Somebody did. I don't know if it was Venom, but somebody was like, what's a 40 and 10? I go, you just skate 40 laps in 10 minutes. And they're like, oh, we don't do that. we like get out there and we'll skate like 80 laps. It was like, yeah, I noticed that. You guys tend to skate a lot of laps. So that's their cardio. Cardio is a lot of laps. But yeah, 1 to 10 to 1. Holy shit, 100 laps. That's killer. I'll get there. All we did was we did 35 laps each that night. I've done 1 to 6, 6 to 1. I've done 2 to 6, 6 to 2. Wow, I'm just sitting there thinking about that 100 laps. Holy shit. I'll get there. That's what we do. I'm getting better at cardio. And the better I can get at cardio, the better I'll get at being a good skater. So, well, you know what? This is the first one in a long time where I've talked over an hour. It's actually an hour and 6 minutes. I'm really just like yammering along. So let me get this post together. Let me finish this off. I'll be here next week. I'll talk to you. Maybe I'll have some good news on the job front. We'll see. Talk to you later then. Take care. Bye.